From the darkness between the stars they flow, a tide of living nightmares. Their shadow is the funeral shroud of civilizations. Their hunger is the death of worlds. They know not hate, fear, or compassion, only the desire to hunt and to devour. They are the swarm. They are the tendril and the talon. They are the Tyranids, and to stand against them in battle is to kill or be consumed.
Welcome to Hobby with Ollie. My name is Ollie, and this is my hobby. So with all the exciting things coming for Horus Heresy, you might be forgiven for forgetting that the Tyranids have just had a new codex release, and with it, a new Combat Patrol box. Now this Combat Patrol box is absolutely chock full of gribblies. We've got 3 warriors, 3 Ripper swarms, a Hive tyrant or swarm lord, and 36 termagants. Now that's a lot of bugs. So if you're just getting into painting Tyranids and you're starting collecting with this box, that may seem like a distressingly large amount of models. And I'm not going to lie, setting out into painting these models, it seems like a distressingly large amount to me too. But with a few special techniques and a bit of practice, we're going to take this box from box to battlefield ready. So in the spirit of the Great Devourer, grab a snack and let's entirely consume this Combat Patrol box. I want to know how long it's going to take someone to paint this entire box from sprue all the way to fully painted and based. I'm going to be adding timings for how long it took me, an average to experienced builder and painter, to construct and paint everything in this box. This is so you can judge how many of your evenings and weekends will be devoured by the all-consuming maw of the Tyranid swarm. Prior to building, I've established how I want to build all the models in the kit. And the first thing to learn for any aspiring Tyranids player is that a lot of the options look very similar and are quite hard to tell apart. Even by comparing the models in the box with the codex artwork, it's still hard to know your Death Spitters from your Devourers and your Barbed Stranglers from your Bone Swords. We're going with Termagants with Devourers, Warriors with pairs of Bone Swords, and 2 with Death Spitters and 1 with a Venom Cannon, and then the Hive Tyrant is going to be built with a Bone Sword and Lash Whip and a heavy Venom Cannon. All in all, we spent about half an hour going over the codex and the building instructions to make sure we got the right parts. And so we can add our first piece of time to the construction, half an hour on army planning. While it's not directly related to building or painting, it is an essential part in playing your games of Warhammer 40,000, so I'm going to be including it here. I'm clipping all the models off the sprues in my usual way, using my snips, and then I'm using my hobby knife to trim up any unsightly mould lines or bits of flash. Once I've done this, I'm taking the bits that I want in sub-assemblies and super gluing them to cocktail sticks ready for priming. So that's what we're going to do. I'm priming with my airbrush as I have completely run out of Rattlecan primer, but anything will do here. Just make sure that you're applying a nice thin coat from a decent distance away. Something like 30 centimeters will probably do it. I'm going to be painting up the models in the colour of my girlfriend's custom Hive Fleet Medusa, which are an offshoot of Hive Fleet Hydra. They have a similar black and purple colour scheme to Hydra, but they've got really cool blue details which kind of set them apart on the battlefield. It's a similar scheme to what I previously painted on the Parasite of Mortrex, which you can find linked up here. I'm going to start with the bodies of all my Tyranids, starting with my Hive Fleet Medusa blend. A special recipe which is only known to the Hive mind, and me, because it consists of 1 drop of purple ink, to 2 parts Mephiston Red and 2 parts Screamer Pink, and then a good glug of airbrush thinner. This gives you a nice thin paint, and it's almost like a build your own contrast paint, meaning that you get a load of really interesting colours and layers in just a single coat of paint. I also did a few test models for this. Using test models is a really good way to save yourself time during the painting process, because then you can just switch off your brain as you already know what colours you're going to be using. I went through a few different iterations, starting with really dark purple, adding in a bit of extra red, and then adding an airbrush thinner as required to get it to go on in one smooth coat. Now I'm going to apply this blend over all of the model. I'm not being too careful here, though I will try and leave the claws white as much as possible, because I'm going to be coming back over and doing the black carapace and the bone claws as well. You can see here that it's flowing into all the crevices and giving it a really nice shadow. Next, I'm putting Abaddon Black onto all of the panels. Make sure you get all of the little panels like on the Termagant's guns and also on the chest of the Hive Tyrant. One of the most striking parts of this Hive Fleet colour scheme is the blue pattern on the armour. We're going to start off with a dark blue, Macragge blue, and give it a very thick highlight towards the edge of each of the panels. Do this spottily to make sure that it's not too even. One of the main things when you're painting Tyranids is to make sure they look organic, and so add a bit of randomness in with where you're putting your brush. Next, I'm going to layer over it with Ahriman blue, and again I'm thinning this down to make sure that it blends in with the previous colour. I'm going to focus this using light strokes towards the edge of each panel to give the impression that the chitin is growing outwards. If you do need a little bit more information on blending, I have this video on Death Company Marines up here. There's also loads of really great tutorials on blending online. So if you like this effect, you can do it with other colours, there's nothing stopping you. Why not have a red themed lava Tyranids army? One of the really great things about Tyranids is that they're a blank canvas for you to apply your own personality to. I've seen people do tiger stripes, butterfly patterns, have their own 3D printed wings and all kinds of cool things. So get creative and get painting your Tyranids. Now I actually changed what I was going to be doing for the claws as I realised that I had quite a lot of models to paint. Turns out 43 with 36 Termagants is a lot. As such, we're going to be painting all of the claws and teeth with Wraithbone and then shading over it with Agrak's Earthshade. Now if you want, you can leave your models here. You've got the vast majority of the details painted, you've got that cool poppy blue armour, and your Tyranids are going to look really great on the battlefield. But with a little bit of extra effort, you're going to be able to take them up to the next level. Adding the little details, I'm going to be using green as a highlight colour, specifically Moot Green, and then also shading with a little bit of purple ink and Beal Tan Green. Now, when applying this, you don't need to worry too much. Imperfection is perfection in this particular game, so don't worry if you slop a little bit too much shade on at any point. Just kind of carry on, move on to the next guy, and maybe when you come back, you'll like the effect that you've ended up with. Thinned down purple ink, which I've thinned down with a couple of parts water, is going to look really good in those sort of recessed muscle fibres and also present some dark against the slightly lighter pinky skin colour. And the eyes and any weaponry is going to get a coat of Beal Tan Green over the Moot Green, again just kind of showing that maybe there's sort of acid under the surface that's bubbling up. I'm under some time pressure to finish this paint job, but things like dings, scratches and dirt are going to all add to your paint job. So spend a little bit of time here if you've got a bit longer than I have, add in those little scratches and make your army your own. With the painting complete, we're going to add our time onto the clock. To properly finish these guys off, I'm going to give them a basing in Geek Gaming Scenic's Grimdark Tomb World. This comes ready mixed in a bag so that you can just apply it directly to your models, and I'm applying it with their quick drying PVA glue as well as some matte scenic sealant. So apply your glue first, dunk your model in, shake off any excess, then after leaving it to dry for at least 15 minutes, spray your matte scenic sealant. What this is going to do is it's going to stop all of your lovely base work chipping off, especially those little crystals, which you can also apply onto a little extra blob of PVA if you're not sure they're going to stick. And with our basing complete, let's add our last bit of time to the clock. So there you have it, that's how long it took me to paint up my Combat Patrol Tyranids box. Did you manage it faster? Are you spending a bit more time and putting a bit more detail into each one? I'd love to hear about your experiences with your Hive fleet in the comments down below. If you do like this kind of video, drop me a like on the video as it lets me know that this is the kind of thing that you want to watch. In the meantime, my name has been Ollie, this has been my hobby, and I'll see you next time.